My name is Moritz, and I'm one of the co-founders and board members of this Hanseatic Blockchain Institute, which is located in Hamburg, Germany. And we try to, help the German community to network and connect. And then we always try to educate about crypto and blockchain and Web3 space. And in doing that, we have our regular blockchain Mondays, which sometimes are virtual, giving us the opportunity to have a guest from the US, from Austin, Texas. And once a month, we do it in a physical location here in Hamburg, and then having physical speakers. Just briefly, the good thing is that we are an association, so everybody who is not yet a member might become a member for some 50 euros a year. That's quite cheap. And then secondly, we have just been asked by the German Federal Ministry of Economics and Climate Control to do a study on the level of blockchain usage in Germany. And we recently rolled out our questionnaire for that. And everybody who is doing something related to crypto and blockchain in Germany is highly requested to partake in this questionnaire, which can be easily accessed on the web with W3 Now, so that's one word, w3now.de, and then you can register to become a member of our forum and then answer the questionnaire. Sorry, this is the short intro process. And then, interestingly, over the last couple of events, we have been pretty much into tokenization, which appears to be one of the most relevant issues when it comes to really using blockchain for real life use cases. And frankly, we have been a little bit out of the crypto investment and handling space, and therefore I'm quite happy to having Michael. How do you spell your last name? Khekoian?
Yeah, it's Khekoian.
Khekoian. Okay, yeah. No.
Yeah.
Always good to ask. Michael Khekoian from a company called Wallet-Guard. And before we hand over to you, maybe you just give us a short introduction. How and when did you first get acquainted to the crypto world?
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, my name is Michael K. I'm the partnership director for Wallet-Guard. I've actually been in cybersecurity for most of my life. I was the CEO of an IT company where we managed not only residential but business customer services, handled their backups, their endpoints, and pretty much all of their security. And as an MSP, I ended up exiting the Web 2 IT space and went into Web 3 full time. I ran into the founders of Wallet-Guard about a year and a half ago in a Twitter space that they were hosting called Web3 Security. And it was great to jump in and see that people were actually talking about security, because it was a constant theme where you would log on to Twitter and see somebody talking about their assets being taken from them or their wallet being drained. So being in that first security space with Martin and Ohm, it was great to talk about not only Web 2 and Web 3 security, but also what they were building, which was called Wallet-Guard. And I ended up becoming a brand ambassador for about a 6-month period. It was an unpaid position, but I was happy to be able to talk and refer to a tool and educational resource to be able to help people protect their crypto. And at the beginning of this year, they gave me a full-time position as partnership director. We actually all ended up moving to one location, one hacker house, to continue building out this application. So it's been awesome to find a team of people that have the same mindset on building an open source tool that is a middle ground, a middle layer between you and your wallet of choice. It's just not practical for mass adoption for people to lose everything in a single click. So being able to provide a tool that actually works has just been a dream.
Cool. Thank you. I think with that, if you were on a physical stage, the stage is yours, and handing over to you, please feel free to use your presentation. And there's already one, so Vincent, because I have to leave earlier, Vincent, please watch the Q&A part of it. There's already the first question, but I think you'll address that in a few minutes anyway.
Yeah,
Over to you.
All right. Maybe let's start with a question. Got and install its browser plugin. It could be another attack vector. So adding another, let's say, middleman. Why should I trust WalletGuard? Maybe let's start with that.
That's definitely a great question. So the great part about WalletGuard is that we're not actually a Web3 product. We're kind of like a Web 2.5 product. So in order to receive phishing detection or transaction simulation through WalletGuard, you actually don't even have to connect your wallet to us or sign any signatures. And we also have all of our repos full open source on GitHub. And that has a direct developer pipeline to the Chrome store, as well as the MetaMask Snap directory, because we also have a MetaMask Snap. We're partnered with MetaMask in order to get that done and bring this human readable transactions directly inside of MetaMask. So with our open source repos, the important part about this is that they have a direct developer pipeline to the Chrome store. And as also, like I said, the MetaMask Snap directory. This is important because a lot of applications claim that they are open source, but they haven't updated their repos in months, and the user doesn't necessarily know what's happening in the background. So to be able to be as transparent as possible and to give all of that code to the user and have them verify that we don't have the ability to interface with your wallet directly or have the ability to make decisions for the user, or data mine the user, these are all things that we want to be as transparent as possible about, because building trust in Web3 is extremely hard. And building trust as a security company is even harder. So this is why we're super happy to have this open source initiative and also try to be as transparent as possible.
Thank you very much. I guess that answers it. So in general, you could say open source is your way to bridge the gap between centralization and decentralization, and be accountable, but have a little helper on your back, behind your back, that like covers you. Or how? Maybe let's get into the product.
Definitely. So I could share my screen as I talk about it. I think it'll be a lot easier with visual representation here. So everything I'm going to talk about is located on our website, walletguard.app. We have a bunch of different resources for not only tooling, but also education. And this is also why I love to talk about Web 2 before you Web 3. I think it's super important for users to understand the importance of managing their own devices, their own data, before we can expect them to be their own banks or manage their own assets. So the first part to this is our browser extension. And this is available for Chromium-based browsers currently. So if you have Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Opera, Brave, this takes a couple of seconds to install and starts working immediately. So what we do is we bring multiple layers of defense to the user. So whenever they're browsing the Web3 space, we are verifying that the website they're going to is actually the real website. So there's a lot of scam and phishing attacks that change a specific letter inside of the domain. And sometimes the user doesn't notice, but it looks like a carbon copy of a real website. And this way, WalletGuard, before the user even enters that website, is able to detect it and let them know that, hey, this is not the real OpenSea, this is not the real Blur, this is not the real Bored Ape Yacht Club. So we're able to bring these risk factors to the user before they even enter the website, connect their wallet, and run a simulation. This is also very important when it comes down to wallet drainers. So we are able to detect wallet drainers in the background before the user even enters the website. So without having to have them have to connect their wallet and run a simulation, they already know that this is something they shouldn't be interacting with. So that's the first layer of defense, is the phishing detection. And then we also have our transaction simulation. So with our transaction simulation, whether you're doing a swap, claim, mint, signature, or any interaction in your wallet, we're able to break it down in plain English for the user. So you could see exactly what's leaving and entering your wallet, as well as different metrics like the gas fee, which is the only thing you would see in your wallet of choice. And just to confirm, so users know again, WalletGuard is not a wallet. We are not an NFT. We are not a token. There's nothing that you need to purchase. It's a free, open source, lightweight browser extension that allows you to see exactly what's happening before you hand it off to your wallet of choice. We also love working with communities. We've done a bunch of work with over 300 communities in the space. We co-host Twitter Spaces with your community. We talk about wallet safety. We can even do Discord security sessions where we're showing live examples of social engineering and phishing and how to avoid it. So there's a lot of different value that you could bring to your community in terms of security before somebody loses their assets or compromises their wallet. And that's also something that we offer for free. There's no charge for any of our sessions or being able to host our security sessions.
Mhm. Does
So
AI
that's
play
the
a role in
browser.
analyzing those contracts?
What's that?
Does AI play a role in those contracts?
So there's actually AI. There's an AI tool that we built called Chat Web 3. It's 4 custom plugins on top of ChatGPT, but it also allows you to look at on-chain information. And I'll show you a live example of that. So considering we're talking about the browser extension, I'm just going to show you guys how the browser extension works on, for example, a legitimate transaction. So I'm just on OpenSea here. I'm going to go to a popular project. I am going to purchase this NFT. And I'm using MetaMask in this scenario. But before MetaMask comes up, WalletGuard will come up and let us know exactly what's about to happen before it happens. So I'm going to change the screen share to the WalletGuard window so you can see exactly what's happening. Let me know if you guys could see that on your end.
Yeah, we can.
All right, perfect. So before your wallet of choice opens, like your Ledger or your MetaMask or whatever you choose to use, WalletGuard is going to pop up and let you know exactly what's happening in the transaction from multiple different heuristics. So the chain that you're on, whether the website you're on is actually what it claims to be. In this case, we're really on OpenSea, and whether the contract for that site, in this case, the latest Seaport contract, is verified and also on Etherscan. We also show the estimated gas value to the user. And we also show exactly what they are sending and its value and what they are receiving, as well as its value in this case as an NFT on OpenSea. So we're bringing about 5 to 6 different metrics to the user in one interface before you only see just a gas fee in your MetaMask or your wallet of choice. So the part where AI comes in is that we have Chat Web 3 built out to basically talk to this transaction in plain English. So you can, anytime you're doing a simulation, the transaction, swap, chain, a gasless signature, whatever the case is, you can ask Chat Web 3. So you could talk to it in plain English. So I'm going to ask it to explain this transaction. And what it's going to do is it's going to look at on-chain information and break down all of the metrics of this transaction. Obviously, this is not a risky transaction. It is legitimate. And we're able to see that based on all the information that the AI model pulls from the on-chain transaction. That would happen if we were to proceed. And the other great part about this is that it supports over 90 languages, and it supports multiple levels of context. So we can say, now explain that like I'm 5 years old in Spanish. So now the AI model looks at on-chain information, turns it into the context of a 5-year-old, and also turns it into Spanish for the user. This is how we can teach people about what they're doing before they confirm a transaction in their wallet of choice. This is how we believe onboarding should happen, is that we are pairing the tooling with the education so that users know exactly what's happening, no matter what chain, what wallet they decide to use, what language they're speaking. This is how we onboard.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then of course, let me switch back to the full screen share. If I were to hit continue in this scenario, then my MetaMask would open and I would just see the gas fee, right? So it's very clear as to what we're bringing to the table when it comes to our browser extension being able to simulate transactions without even having to connect to your wallet or sign anything. We bring that middle layer between you and your wallet of choice with zero touch to your wallet. The other great part is, like I said, we are partnered with MetaMask. We were one of their launch snaps in the MetaMask snaps directory. We are the #1 transaction simulation snap. So what you'll notice inside of my MetaMask, there's actually a tab called WalletGuard. And if I click on WalletGuard, what it's going to do is it's going to do the same features of the browser extension, but instead it's going to do them directly inside of your MetaMask. So instead of just a gas fee, you see in plain English exactly what you are sending and what you are receiving and its value, instead of just a bunch of code or just a gas fee.
Pretty easy. I think that might be a solution for beginners at least. But I think even pros will benefit from this because it's like such a small thing that only needs to happen to get phished or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, this is like the exact reason why we made Wallet Guard. If you're onboarding somebody into the space and they're bringing their money into crypto, you,
You
the
don't want to
last
be
thing you want, what's
you
that?
don't want to be responsible, right?
Yeah,
You
the
bring
last
them
thing
in
you
and it's
want,
yeah.
yeah, the last thing you want is a phone call the next day
Mm,
where they're saying, I thought it was a free mint. Where are all my NFTs? Right? Because they just couldn't read a gasless signature,
mm,
or I thought it was OpenSea. What happened to all my NFTs? Right. And it looks like OpenSea, but it's the OpenSea.com and not .io, and they don't know the
mm.
difference. Right. So if you're not talking, at least mentioning security when you're onboarding someone into the space, you're doing them a disservice. So we can change the sentiment of what's happening here so that it's not just an echo chamber of the same people talking with each other and everybody outside looking in thinking it's a scam. Let's educate users. Let's talk about tools that exist and education that exists in order to keep them safe in a way that's kind of, permissionless, right? Like we're not getting in the way. We're just showing you what's happening before it happens. So yeah, that's the browser extension. The other great part tied to the browser extension is also the dashboard, but I'll get into that shortly. We also, like I said, we have the MetaMask Snap. So it allows you to enable Wallet Guard directly inside of MetaMask without having to have a separate browser extension. It also brings you transaction alerts tied to our dashboard where you can see all of your value at risk in one place. And it also, again, it just takes seconds to turn on. So there really like is no excuse for people to lose their assets at this point. Now, the important part to remember is that nothing is 100% secure. We can have all of the antiviruses and firewalls and Wallet Guard in place, but at the end of the day, nothing is 100%. The user still has to stay vigilant, and they still have to incorporate some level of, you know, uh, education to the factor. So what we're trying to do here is to give the user as many resources for education as well as tools so that they can get as close to 100% as possible. That's the end goal. If we are equipping the user with all these tools and education, then they're not coming in blind signing signatures and not understanding the concept of hitting yes and agree to everything that pops up on your device. This is a Web 2 mentality, which will not work in Web 3. You click on the wrong thing, there's no phone number for Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? You're not going to call up your credit card company and say, hey, I have a fraudulent charge, put the money back. That's how it works in Web 2, but that's not how it works in Web 3. So this is super important to discuss whenever you're onboarding anybody. And even if it's not Wallet Guard, at least mention security in some format, right? Like make sure the user has an antivirus or an ad blocker. Those are easy wins. And that's something that we love talking about in the Wallet Guard Academy. So the Wallet Guard Academy is a resource that we created that pretty much shows users how to set up their devices, what software to use to keep their information safe, to keep their data safe, how to update their wallet extensions, what are wallet approvals, what happens if you get drained, what are your first steps. So this is another free educational resource that we've created that lets you teach users about how to create their first wallets and all these different things that people usually say, do your own research, right? They don't tell you how to do your own research. They just say DYOR. We're doing the DYOR in the Wallet Guard Academy.
Perfect. So it all comes down to the last problem, I guess, which is the human factor and social engineering and such things, which you still got to be
Yeah,
alert.
yeah, and really what it is like if we're able to show the user all the risk factors, if we're able to at least mention security in some format, they're going to be 99% better than people coming in and shooting blindly.
Yeah.
A lot of times people ask a question for help and then they get DMs from scammers that are looking like they want to help them, but they're not really going to help them. They're going to eventually hit them with a link or drain their wallet, whatever the case is. So having the right resources is super important. This is also why we have a very engaged and active Twitter for Wallet Guard. I highly recommend you guys follow us on Twitter. What we do on Twitter is we actually drop a lot of security alpha We also love to, show users different tips on wallet safety. We do weekly security spaces where we talk about how to keep your wallet safe and the latest security breaches, and that's every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. The last one that we did was with MetaMask. I'm sure you guys know MetaMask, so almost 2,000 people were there listening in. So we really try to bring a lot of educational material and security alpha to the users, and make sure that whenever you're following us, we're just warning you of the latest security breaches. I mean, it's a literal win-win for the space when we share this information as quickly as possible with each other. So tying all this together, there's two more parts to Wallet Guard. So one of them is called Chat Web 3. So Chat Web 3, I showed you how it works inside of transaction simulations, but this is Chat Web 3, the browser. You could access this on mobile as well. You just go to chat.walletguard.app, or you go to walletguard.app and click on Chat Web 3. What it does is it lets you talk to an AI model and guardrails the responses directly for crypto, DeFi, and NFTs. So this is a great onboarding tool for somebody that wants to learn about crypto. And it's able to do this because it looks at the level of context and how familiar you are with it. So let's say we're new to Web3, and we're going to ask just a basic question like, what is a wallet? So asking Chat Web 3, what is a wallet, and asking Chat GPT, what is a wallet, you're going to get drastically different answers. Chat Web 3 is going to focus on the context of it being a cryptocurrency wallet, a blockchain wallet. Chat GPT will talk about physical wallets. They're made out of leather. You keep them in your pocket. So maybe later on, we'll talk about the crypto side of things, but we've built this model to focus on NFTs, DeFi, and crypto based on your skill level. And this also supports those 90 different languages in multiple levels of context.
That's amazing. Is it like depending on or what's the database the model is built from? That's just a thing that just pops in my head.
Yeah, we actually have the engineers here. They actually pull from multiple different verified resources in order to vet that information. And they've also set up those guardrails. We've been testing this model for like a few months before we even released it up closer to the beginning of this year. So we've seen a lot of great responses from people being able to learn things that are even hard to grab from Google, right? Like let's pretend you want to ask something tougher. You're a DeFi trader, but the context of it is a little more out of scope than someone who's brand new to crypto. You want to understand the difference between, let's say, PancakeSwap and Uniswap, right? So what is between Pancake? So now it's going to look at those two different resources, being Web3 dApps, and it's going to compare them, and it's going to give that answer back to the user. So it's going to focus on that PancakeSwap is primarily based on Binance Smart Chain, and that Uniswap is, obviously Ethereum based, or at this point supports more chains, but it gives a breakdown of that. Then you could say, this is way too complicated. Explain it like I'm 5, right? Explain it like I'm 5. Now it's going to just condense it down into a more layman response.
Does it also give like resources when you want to elaborate on one of those maybe? Can you find like white papers with it, or is it something else?
Yeah, so inside of, we're actually launching the NFT degen. This is further contextualized, and it goes a little more into sources. So that's something that I would ask the devs on my team if they're going to be putting the actual link backs, but yeah, that's definitely something to consider.
Yeah, pretty cool. Okay, we are at the developer side right now. We got the question whether you could integrate Wallet Guard in other wallets, for example, when the app ready consumer app. Is it that easy?
Yeah, this is a great question. So this is actually leading me into our APIs. So we actually do have our transaction simulation API, phishing detection API, and AI model APIs ready to plug into your dApp or wallet as a service or whatever, Web3 application that you're deploying. So the great part about this is that you as a wallet provider or you as a dApp don't have to worry about the security layer when it comes down to, like, say, users sending links to each other, or being able to confirm that they're actually on the real website, or being able to break down a transaction or signature, which is super important. Signatures are very hard to decode. So we actually have proprietary technology in place where we're actually able to break down a lot of signatures that can't be turned into human readable format. All of this is able to be integrated, and we do have our APIs. So if you are interested in that, please shoot us an email, shoot us a DM. We could set up a meeting to talk about that. They're very scalable, and there are already multiple dApps using our APIs that we could reference as well.
Right. We talked about the NFT degen AI model, but could you elaborate on what's your plan with WalletGuard? Where does the journey head?
Yeah, so what we want to do, and this brings me to the final part of WalletGuard, is our security dashboard. We actually launched this less than a month ago, and we've already had over 150,000 security scans performed on wallets in order to show them their risk factors and pretty much everything that happens in and out, whether they have honeypots, whether they've interacted with any malicious contracts in the past, or even the ability to revoke their approvals directly in one clean interface. This is also mobile friendly, so super easy to access. You just go to dashboard.walletguard.app or use our browser extension or MetaMask Snap, and the dashboard links directly the same way. I'm going to show you guys an example of me connecting my wallet here to run a scan. So I have my wallet connected. I'm running a scan for any high-risk approvals, any honeypots I may have. Even if my wallet extensions are out of date, that's something super important that we also look at. So your browser does not automatically update your wallet extensions. It's on a scheduled task, and it might be performed once a week. So the reason why we think updates are important is because they patch security holes. So we're able to notify the user about their wallet extension being out of date as soon as an update is pushed from Phantom or Ledger or MetaMask, instead of the user waiting for it to be pushed by their browser. So in this wallet, pretty healthy. We could see that the wallet version checker does show that my MetaMask is out of date, and I could force it to update manually here. It also does support multiple other wallets, which we're trying to add as much support as we can over time. But yeah, the approvals dashboard would show any assets at risk and let you revoke them. In this case, again, this is a clean wallet. There are no open approvals. And you could see honeypots, anything that you've had in your wallet that you wouldn't want to interact with. Again, this is a pretty clean wallet, but I've seen people get scores as low as 18%, 15%, and be able to revoke those approvals and take care of those out-of-date extensions and get right up over 90% very quickly, which in the grand scheme of things makes a lot of sense to do, instead of worrying about losing your asset to a malicious transaction or a gasless signature that you weren't paying attention to.
Okay, and you've been talking about this and didn't mention something like a subscription fee or anything else. What's your business model with it?
Yeah. Currently, the browser extension, the Snap, the Academy, the dashboard, everything is 100% open source and free. Our business model currently is to show proof of product, and we're actually super happy to announce that just a couple of weeks ago, we surpassed 60,000 installs on the browser extension, with over 100,000 wallets protected and a very conservative number of $40 million in assets saved since the beginning of the year for our users. Once people discover what WalletGuard is and they just take the second to get it, it's literally a no-brainer to have, whether you're brand new to crypto or you're a seasoned degen. I mean, the concept of being able to just see what happens before it happens is, a lot of people don't know that security exists in Web3. And at the end of the day, an antivirus is not going to do what WalletGuard does. So, and WalletGuard's not an antivirus. So this is like a missing, middleman in between how to keep your crypto safe, right? So yeah, super happy about that. We started the year off with 5,000 installs, and we just passed 60,000. It's been an amazing run. And a couple of other parts to the dashboard. We actually just today launched the dApp Store. So the dApp Store is a trusted source of official applications, dApps, products, and tools that you can reference whenever you need to find something. So let's pretend you just onboarded somebody brand new, like a friend or family member into crypto, and you're telling them to go get a MetaMask. And one of the first things people do is they go to Google, they type MetaMask, and sometimes they click on the sponsored ad, and they end up scamming themselves immediately, and they haven't even gotten into crypto yet. So I think the best thing to do is actually tell the user to get WalletGuard, because once you have WalletGuard, you could find all the right links directly to these wallets or these dApps in one place instead of wondering if the extension is correct. So excuse me. So for example, let's say we're looking for a wallet. We select wallet. We got all our wallet providers, that we reference all in one place. So you'll get the official MetaMask link directly here. Let's say you're looking for something to, to do a search on delegation, like delegating your wallet. You just type delegate, and bam, you got Warm XYZ and Delegate Cash directly right here. Most people don't know that Warm is warm.xyz. Well, this is confirming that. So being able to, again, just provide educational resources for users and being able to just make onboarding easy by giving a direct real live reference to all these different dApps is super important, and that's part of the dashboard as well.
Okay, I see another question. What's a risk that WalletGuard doesn't prevent? I guess we talked about the human error. Is there anything else that doesn't get included in this whole package?
Yeah, I think it's important for users to know, like I stated, WalletGuard is not an antivirus. We're not going to tell you that you have a remote access Trojan on your computer. And this is why it's super important to reference what we talk about in the academy when it comes to setting up your device the right way, which is getting an antivirus, having an ad blocker, these things that are essential before you even Web3, right?
Yeah.
So we don't want the user to think that, like, what's really disconcerting is that a lot of people think that a VPN, for example, is an antivirus. I actually had a fellow user in the space last week. They actually ended up being DM'd for some beta testing some game. And he ended up going to the website and installing the game, and the game was malware that actually stole his credentials, and they were able to get into his wallet and empty it. And when I spoke to him, I said, "Did you have any sort of antivirus on your computer?" And he said, "I have NordVPN." And if you actually look at their marketing, they actually do claim that they work like an antivirus. And this is very unfortunate, because a VPN, all it does is it randomizes your IP address, right? Because so you're not self-identifying yourself on the internet every second, right? That, I think that's important for anonymity, right? And also for the sake of privacy. I mean, obviously you don't want to have the same public IP address 24/7, because that's what it is by default at your home, right? So using a VPN is important, but it's not an antivirus. It's not going to detect a browser extension that's malware. It's not going to detect a Trojan that you're downloading that's masking itself as a metaverse game for you to test. So the importance of realizing what you actually need before you even step into Web3 and decide to implement WalletGuard as at least some layer of security to your wallet is super important. And like I said before, nothing's 100%. You still want to keep your eyes open. You still want to read what's in front of you. We do try to warn the user as many times as we can before they even enter the website, after they enter the website, when they run a transaction simulation. We're telling them, "Are you sure you want to continue? Are you sure?" Sometimes people just, they deject. They just don't care. They still do. Look, if you're doing that, please at least practice some wallet hygiene. And what I mean by that is have a separate wallet for assets you never plan on selling or interacting with. Don't keep all of your eggs in one basket, right? You don't want to make it so that one simple, gasless signature can drain all your assets that you never planned on selling anyway. Keep that in a separate wallet. And this is something that we also talk about in the academy.
So in short, get Web 2 ready before you put money into it.
Web 2 before you Web 3, 100%. And what we're referencing when it comes to like password management and antivirus and ad blocker, a two-factor authenticator, super important. What we're referencing in the academy for all these tools, they're open source. They're free. The only one that's not free is the antivirus, which I recommend getting, Malwarebytes Premium, for the sake of having proactive detection as you're browsing the internet. But these are easy wins. We're not telling users to go buy a hardware firewall appliance, and this is not the case. We're just showing users, hey, there is a way to pull this off for the cost of, let's say, $20 a year. You have thousands of dollars worth of assets. It's worth to pay $20. But if you're trying to onboard someone into being self-custody and they only have $100 worth of crypto and they're buying a $150 ledger, is that practical? Obviously not. Keep them on the centralized exchange. They don't need to go that route yet. So convenience over security, what makes the most sense? And that's what we break down.
Perfect. Do you have anything to add to your presentation, or will we just get to the questions that are left?
Yeah, I mean, we could get to the questions. I could do a quick run through on one of the articles we have in the Academy, which is regarding what Web 2 software to use to set up your device the right way. If we have the time for that, I'd be happy to it's like a 5 to 10 minute thing.
Sure, go on.
Awesome. And before I do that, just wanted to also note one more thing. We are actually running a free mint. We are paying for the mint. We are paying for people's gas fees, and they're able to, once they have WalletGuard, claim a NeanCat WalletGuard NFT. And we partnered up with NeanCat to do this. There's already been over 85,000 mints in the past 3 weeks. There's about a week and a half left for this. You literally have nothing to lose on this end either. We're paying your gas fees. We're paying the mint. And it's a way to advocate for end user security. So we're super happy that NeanCat partnered up with us to get this done. And it's a really great way to onboard people. I mean, think about this. Not only are you helping secure your wallet, but you're claiming a limited edition NFT from a legendary meme artist, and also learning about keeping your wallet safe. So win-win all around.
Perfect. I will definitely do it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's literally nothing to lose. So yeah, let's jump into Web 2 before you Web 3, considering we did a bunch of Web 3 already. And again, guys, everything that we spoke about is in one place, walletguard.app. And the session that I'm about to give for your Web 2 security is also in the Academy on walletguard.app. So the first thing that I like to talk about is your passwords. A lot of people don't even know their own passwords, or they use the same password for everything. So it's not practical to remember passwords for hundreds of accounts and have unique passwords. So the most practical thing to do is to have a password manager. Now, it really depends also on what password manager you choose. LastPass has been compromised multiple times. If you still use LastPass or have used LastPass before, please change your password manager provider and change your passwords, because as a third-party service, people put their trust into LastPass for housing their credentials. And unfortunately, they were compromised to the point where a lot of people kept their seed phrases and private keys in their LastPass, and those were compromised as well. So the password manager that we recommend, which is open source, it's free, and it also allows you to self-host your keys, your credentials, is Bitwarden. And Bitwarden lets you create strong, unique, randomly generated passwords for each of your accounts, considering that's the first layer of defense when it comes to signing into anything that you're doing, especially in Web 2. So Bitwarden is the password manager that we recommend in order to have your first line of defense be something that is as strong as it can possibly get. Again, nothing's 100%, but again, you want to incorporate as much as you can to make it as close to 100% as possible. Now, the one thing that I'm going to show you guys before we move on to the next tool is the concept of your credentials, your passwords might already be leaked and on the internet. So there is a great tool called pentester.com. What it does, it's a free tool. It lets you type in your email address and it scours the dark web for any data leaks you might have been involved in. You could literally see your phone number, your physical address, social security information just by running a scan. And if you see that information, other people see it too. So this is what we use to recommend people to stop being lazy and just take that day to set up your accounts the right way, considering the password you use might already be leaked on the internet. And again, this is a free tool, just like Bitwarden Password Manager is a free tool. You literally have nothing to lose in order to just do a little search on yourself and make sure that you're protected. All right, the next layer of defense that we recommend is a two-factor authenticator. A lot of times people use their phone number as their two-factor authentication method. This is the weakest form of two-factor authentication. I highly recommend removing your phone number from every single account that you've ever added it to as a recovery method or two-factor method. This includes your Gmail account. This includes your Twitter profile. This includes your Instagram, your social networks, pretty much any account that you consider having sensitive data or the ability to post as you should be removed from your phone number, right? So the reason why is because people are susceptible to SIM swaps. SIM swaps are out of your control. That's when somebody who has your phone number can call your phone company and convince them that they are you. And then they could port your phone number over to their own account and use it to get into your email, your social networks, and all of your profiles without even having to know your passwords or your two-factor methods. They are you now. They have your phone number. So why not remove your phone number from all of your accounts after this phone call that we're having and eliminate that as a risk factor and instead enable two-factor authentication that is software or hardware based. You might already be using Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator. That is a form of two-factor software-based authentication. Just like Authy, which is the two-factor authenticator we recommend. It works just like Google Authenticator and Microsoft Authenticator. They're all free. They all do the same thing, but this is the one that we prefer. You could still use Google Authenticator if you'd like, but just to make sure, if you are using Google Authenticator, turn off cloud backup. Cloud backup literally backs up your codes for your authenticators to your Google account. So guess what happens if you get SIM swapped and someone gets in your Google account? Now they have access to all your two-factor authentication backup codes. Now they have even more ability to be you. So again, eliminate those attack variables, turn off cloud backup for your authenticator, and make sure you're not using your phone number in any accounts. If you perform the password managing side of things that we spoke about and the two-factor side of things we just spoke about, your security will be 1,000 times more secure than the next guy. Trust me on that. All right, so we did the password manager, we did the two-factor authenticator and the concept of not using your phone number on any accounts. Now we're also going to talk about ad blockers. So the ad blocker that we recommend, this is also free and open source. It's uBlock Origin. And uBlock Origin blocks those scam links that you see whenever you perform a Bing or Google or search engine result. So this is a great tool to also put on your family members' computers, like your grandparents and your parents, because you know that they're doing Google searches and they probably are clicking on scam links. So what uBlock Origin does is it eliminates those links from popping up in the first place, from showing up as the first result whenever you're doing a search on a search engine. So it takes a couple of seconds to install and it blocks those ads immediately. One thing that I would also recommend is that, excuse me, on top of a ad blocker, using Brave as your browser. A lot of people use Google Chrome, and Google Chrome has a lot of telemetry and background reporting enabled, which cannot be turned off by the user. Brave is actually based on Chromium, so you could still sign into your Google account and sync all your apps and install extensions and sync your passwords and stuff, but it has all of those telemetry layers removed, and it also has ad blocking natively built in. So as soon as I found out about Brave, on my smartphones, my laptops, my desktops, I replaced all my browsers with Brave. You could have multiple browser profiles. Again, it's based off Chromium, but it has all that telemetry and ad blocking built right in. Telemetry removed and ad blocking built right in. So as far as a security tool, an ad blocker is a very easy win. And now we get into the software, the security side when it comes to an antivirus. When you have a Mac or when you have a PC, it is not secure out of the box. Whatever it comes with is not enough. A lot of people have a Mac and they say, well, Macs don't get viruses. That is not true. Macs are just as susceptible to malware and Trojans and keyloggers as are Windows computers. So to have an additional layer of defense on top of whatever your operating system comes with is essential. And the additional layer of defense that we recommend is Malwarebytes. Malwarebytes, the premium version specifically. If you're using the free version, all it's good for is running manual scans. If you're using the paid version, the premium version, it has proactive detection. It is constantly monitoring your RAM and your running processes and services. It is running those scans automatically for you in the background. And it could have prevented a lot of scenarios that we've seen in the crypto space when it comes to people installing something that is not legitimate from what looks like a legitimate source. So I believe it's about $20 or $30 a year. Having an additional layer of defense on top of whatever your operating system comes with, in my opinion, is essential. And Malwarebytes Premium is what we recommend. And the final piece of software is a VPN. So again, a VPN is not an antivirus. I recommend having both an antivirus and a VPN. What a VPN does is it randomizes your IP address. Your IP address, especially when you're at home, rarely ever changes. Every single website and application and service that you use that's connected to the internet is in some way logging your IP address at some point. And it can also be used as an attack vector if you are a target. Someone knows your IP address, where they could send multiple requests to your IP, to your router, and be able to find an exploit within a device on your network. So instead of worrying about that and also making sure that all the data that you transmit is encrypted end to end, please use a VPN like Molvad. Molvad, I think it's like $5 a year for 5 devices. I have Molvad running on all my devices. It gives me a random IP address every single day, so I'm not self-identifying myself every time I use my devices. And yeah, it's pretty much essential when it comes down to being able to protect your privacy. So Molvad is the VPN of choice. And again, guys, all this information, including Pen Tester for searching the dark web for your own personal data leaks, Molvad for your VPN, Malwarebytes for your antivirus, uBlock for an ad blocker, Authy or your current authenticator, and not SMS-based or phone-based authentication, as well as a password manager. This might seem daunting, but think about it. If you take a day to implement these Web 2 security tools, you're going to feel a lot better moving forward, knowing that you have a default. Now, next time you make a new account somewhere, you already know to have the password manager create a randomly strong, unique generated password for you. You know to enable two-factor authentication for it to not be your phone number, right? You eliminated all those attack variables from your data, from your lifestyle when it comes to your technology. So this is why it's super important to Web 2 before you Web 3. And once you do, obviously our security tool of choice is WalletGuard on top of everything you've done in Web 2.
Thank you very much. That was pretty eye-opening. Even though I do implement or of those security tips, I will definitely check out removing my phone number from most apps I'm using. Never thought about it that way because I don't know, it didn't happen yet, but the problem is you don't want it to happen at all. So definitely changing that. Okay, we almost the two we have left is what famous exploits could have been prevented with WalletGuard, but I think we already answered it in some way. Maybe you have some thoughts about it.
Yeah, so there are tons of wallet drainers like Monkey Drainer, Angel Drainer. You know, these are drainers that we are detecting before the user even enters the website. So it's really great to know that the tool itself is able to detect these without letting the user connect their wallets and run a simulation. Now, again, we still want to stress nothing is 100%. You know, we're still going to try to protect the user in every way possible, but they should still be cautious of what they're doing. You know, we still want to show the user all the risk factors, but in case it's something that isn't detected yet, the user should still be cognizant of what they're about to interact with. And I'll give you a quick example. It's very easy to find red flags. If you're following a Twitter account and out of nowhere they tweet about some mint or some claim and the comments are disabled, you know, that's a massive red flag. That's the first thing you should be doing. You kind of don't want to ever be the first mover. You kind of want to see what happens and then jump into something, especially if you're FOMOing into it. So, you know, even if it's a scenario where you're told about a project, you jump into their Discord, it says on the left-hand side that they have 100,000 users in the server, and then you go to the general chat and no one's talking, and there's like 40 users in the account list. Obviously, that 100,000 is manually typed. Massive red flag. You know, these are things that just taking a second and slowing down on top of the education and the Web 2 tooling and WalletGuard. That's how we're going to, you know, guarantee, like almost guarantee, you know, nothing's 100%, but almost guarantee the concept that you're not going to mess with something that isn't legit.
Yeah, perfect. Last serious question I guess is maybe might be an interesting one. Do you have any investors on board?
Yeah, so we actually did our pre-seed round, which was closed out at the end of last year. We are funded by Consensus IOSG and Ethereal Ventures. This gave us the runway to get up to this point of building out the application to this extent. We have not monetized yet. We don't charge for our services yet. At the first quarter of next year, by the end of the first quarter, we are going to be launching a premium version of WalletGuard. And what that does is it makes it so that the people that are the heavy users, they get unlimited simulations and unlimited phishing detection and AI responses. This way, we are able to cover the cost of keeping our services online. Now, we will always remain free. We will always remain open source. And we will always be as clear as possible when it comes down to what we do with data that our application is ingesting. So, for example, if you take a look at our privacy policy in terms of service, it's very extensive, but we are very clear on what we're doing with information in order to keep our services online. So the only information that we actually retain for a 2-week period is an IP address in order to prevent DDoS attacks. We have been DDoSed multiple times in the past. There are constant attacks on our services to take our APIs offline, and we would not be able to mitigate against these attacks if we did not have a 2-week retention period on that specific piece of information. So we are, again, as transparent as possible when it comes down to not ingesting that data for resale, showing that that data is used to create stronger firewall rules, and also be able to be as transparent as possible.
Thank you very much. What do you see as the next level of attack tool, like some crazy AI bots?
Yeah, so what's happening is, phishing is the most, it's tied directly to social engineering in most cases, but this is the main way that people get tricked. And scammers are using AI tools to make their presentations look more legitimate. In the past, you would get a message or an email and it would be like broken down English. It wouldn't really look legit. Now they're using AI tools to make it look as legit as possible. They're able to spin up logos and graphics and full paragraphs of text that make it look like it's real. So this comes down to educating the user, which unfortunately, this is something that in school is not taught or taught often. Right? Kids are not taught about managing their passwords or their credentials, keeping their data safe, the concept of encryption, the concept of avoiding social engineering or phishing. This is something that we have to at least bring up as a topic, especially when we're talking about self-custody. So the space is always evolving. We are always trying to catch the latest threats, to catch the latest scams. But unfortunately, the scammers are always switching up those methods. So as long as we're able to stay awake and keep our eyes open and keep each other safe and spread this information, this is going to create a much more, different environment than the latter, than if, everyone's just coming in, getting scammed and leaving and saying, I'm never touching this again.
Okay.
I also see that someone said, would Mark Cuban. That is a scenario where a wallet drainer, I'm pretty sure that's what ended up happening, would have been detected. I mean, there's tons of scenarios. The scenario that happened with NFT God, where even an antivirus would have helped, right? Like just simple tools in place would have helped. I can't guarantee that it would have. I don't know the exact scenario as of this moment. But if it did have to do with a wallet drainer, if it did have to do with installing a Trojan, like an antivirus, WalletGuard, that would have been more than enough to stop it. So.
Do you think quantum computing will kill the promise of a safe and secure blockchain like Bitcoin?
Okay, so this is a common thing that's brought up. Quantum computing is nowhere near the state that it would be able to do that at this point. I don't think it's going to be able to do that for a very long time. And I think then there would be, a fork or some, introduction of a stronger protocol, something stronger than SHA 256 or whatever is currently being used on whatever chain in question. But I don't think it's something that we should all just say, oh, it's finished. There's nothing we could do about it. This is the point of ongoing development and scaling, and that's exactly what I believe that these chains are doing over time, is scaling to the fact of trying to fix these issues as it goes on. This is it's like a caveat, right? You have decentralization is great, but you have to have elements of centralization like we spoke about before. So to be able to say, okay, We have to introduce a new protocol. Let's say EIP 4337 now has account abstraction, or the ability to add more layers of security to a smart contract directly. These are things that wouldn't have been able to be fathomed or thought about 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 6 years ago. So it's, as time goes on, I think the ability for us to build on top of it will make it so that scenarios like that are not unavoidable.
Perfect. Another question, I think it's the last one. Tron and Huobi got hacked. Would you also call out known scammers like Justin Sun? Maybe a personal take on that one.
Who got hacked?
Tron and Huobi.
Oh, Tron.
Yeah.
All right. So I think this is like both a Web 2 and a Web 3 problem, because whenever you're using anything, you are putting a level of trust into that service. So even a concept of, let's say, Stars Arena, they've been compromised multiple times at this point, but people still are going back and saying, okay, we're going to make it better. We're going to make it better. But security is an afterthought, and that's the problem. Sometimes it takes being compromised. Sometimes it takes getting your wallet drained in order for you to wake up and say, I'm going to do something about it, which is the unfortunate scenario. So this is just human nature. This is the same thing I witnessed when I was in Web 2 in my IT store. People would talk about how important their files are when they bring their computer in and it's not turning on. And once we get it to turn on, we ask them, do you have a backup? And they say, no, but I'm going to get one. I'm going to get one. And then the next time they come in, they spilled water on their laptop and now it really doesn't turn on. Well, what happened? Did you get the backup? No, I didn't, but I'm going to do it now. It's like, this is just human nature, right? So I think that, like, whatever you choose to use, whether it is Tron, whatever the case is, you have to put a level of trust into that provider, and you can't put all your eggs into one basket. I always try to say, have some account segregation, have some wallet segregation, profile segregation. Don't put all of your don't put all of your assets into a single token, right? Like, these are things that to some people they're not told, and they don't relate to it, or they don't even know the concept of dollar cost averaging. And then we could get into a whole nother conversation there. But yes, putting trust into third parties is something that you should stay aware of. I think that it's, with time, lessons learned. Some lessons are unfortunately too harsh, and people will never recover from them. But this is life, right? We gotta just keep going and keep making it better. Otherwise, if we all gave up, then we wouldn't have another option. What would be the other option outside of a centralized fiat currency? Nothing.
I think we can let that thought sink in for a while. I think you're on a very important mission with Wallet Guard, and opened some eyes today. I will definitely tell my friends to have a look at Wallet Guard, at least, because I didn't know it yet. And yeah, I thank you very much for your talk on security in the crypto space.
No, really, really appreciate the stage. Thank you for all of the listeners. I know that you guys have recorded this, so big shout out to anybody that's watching this. My DMs are always open. Definitely, follow Wallet Guard on Twitter. It's wallet_guard. We got over 40,000 followers that we're trying to just give security intel to. And please do your own research on us. Check out our GitHub. Check out our open source code. See who we're partnered with. See what we're doing in the space. Type Wallet Guard into Twitter and see what people are saying. I guarantee that it will all make sense, that this is really what's missing as a layer of security for people's wallets. We need to do something about new people coming in, and also people that are already here not losing what they have. That's the most important thing. So let's do it together. Let's change the sentiment of the space, and let's help users protect their crypto.
I'm sure we will be able to do it one day. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciated it. And see you.
See you later, bro. Let's go.